But once I was working on people doing Reiki, then my my psychic and mediumship gifts just naturally opened up. And so I started, I'm clairaudient. That's my strongest clair. Now I have a lot of them already open, but that was the first one that really came in, and it was the only one that was there for a while. And so I would just hear, I would feel, well, I guess sentience. I would feel the presences coming forward for people that I was working on. And then I would hear instruction on how to best, help them move their energy while I was doing Reiki on them. And that piqued my interest, and I wanted to learn more about that. And so I found a mentor that was just more mediumship, because I was like, I knew that Reiki wasn't quite my thing. And then when my mediumship got stronger, then I wanted to learn more about mediumship, and that was more intriguing. And I feel like with my mediumship, like my mediumship opened up, and then I was also able to see energy moving as I was doing readings for people. And then it just naturally evolved into, well, I have all this business background that I really enjoyed learning as well.
Yeah.
And I wonder if I can merge it. I wonder if I can put this together somehow. And so I found a way to do that. And so I can read the energy of people's businesses. I can, look at timelines. I can look at what's going on in their personal lives, and their, or in their business, and that relates to their personal lives. And, if there's energy that's stagnant or not moving the way that they want it to move, I can see, okay, well, here's the channel you're trying to move it through, but it's stuck. So either this needs to be unblocked, kind of like what you would do with Reiki, or we need to go in a different route because that's not really aligned, and you're trying to move energy in a place that's not really aligned. And this is in more alignment. So let's move it here. And then, oh, there's a flow. Let's get that flow going. But I can see the energy moving as I'm talking to them, and as I'm getting my psychic impressions. I'm seeing things, I'm hearing things, and so it all just kind of comes together in this beautiful orchestra. And so that's how I use it. And that's the part that I'm settled in right now, because it's just like, yes, like I love
Feels like
being
a
a
yes.
conductor of that.
So welcome everyone to yet another episode of Through the Magical Door. I am Samaya, a vibrational priestess and psychic alignment coach for women in business. I'm here today with a very special lady. Her name is Naomi Haigh. You might have met Naomi when we've done a collective reading on a bunch of you live in Facebook. I think, was it a month ago, or was it 2 months ago?
Around
That, yeah.
2 months. Yep.
So you've probably seen her before as well. So Naomi is a psychic medium, a spiritual mentor, and host of the Modern Psychic podcast. She helps soul-led entrepreneurs create strong foundations in themselves and their business by helping them strengthen their unique intuitive gifts. Naomi, it's really lovely to have you here and to be able to have this conversation here as well. So obviously we've known each other, we've channeled together, we've shared stuff about each other's lives. But what I'd love to know, especially for those who are meeting you for the first time, can you tell us a little bit about something in your life, or about the way you grew up, that would make sense for us to know, to give us a bit of an understanding as you doing what you're doing at this point in your life with your work? Is there something that will give it away, something that was either a turning point or something that built up over time that would make sense to us as to why you are a psychic medium at this day and age? So we'd love to know more about that.
Perfect. Well, thank you for having me here. I'm excited to be here. So I guess, like, throughout my life, I didn't know I had spiritual gifts. They didn't feel like they were open completely, but I guess I was always drawn to um, mystical things. I started jumping into astrology when I was like 15, 16 years old. And that just really intrigued me. And um, I used it, like in my uh young adult days when I was single and dating, and could just ask people like, what's your birthday, so that I knew what their sign was and how my sign as an Aries could work
Mm,
together with that sign, and so I learned all the signs so that I could learn how to best communicate with them, and it would actually work. And so it's not something we're taught, it's not something logical, but it was really
yeah,
cool to see that, something that was more taboo actually
yeah.
worked in the real world. Um, and so I guess that's kind of what opened me up to um, being open to more mystical things coming into my life.
Mm,
But I went to, went through college, went through business school, and I didn't really search for any of it, but I just, knew that I was open to it. And
yeah.
and so when I heard about Reiki one day, and I was like, just really curious, and I went and had a session, and um, felt things that I never felt before, and you couldn't logically explain why I felt that, so deeply and so intense. Then I wanted to learn about it, and I just, whoops, I just dove right in to learning more, and then everything just like exploded open within me, and all this remembering, all this
Wow.
wanting to know more. And for me, it has always been, okay, I want to know about this mystical stuff, or this stuff that, not a lot of people are into, but I want to learn about it, and I want to learn how to apply it in my life.
In a practical way.
How can we actually use this, and it's not just something that, you play with in a closet, or,
Yeah, I
And
like
so,
that. I like
yeah,
that. And I'm gonna come back to what you said when everything just blew up for you, like in a good way, everything kind of just opened up. I'm definitely gonna revisit to ask you more about this. But
sure.
I love that that actually astrology was the way in for you. And it's very interesting because one of the astrologers followed for a few years online, Astrolada, she's a Bulgarian lady. And what became obvious from watching her stuff, that apparently astrology seems to be a really interesting doorway into the mystical for many people. It feels like one of those kind of deeply rooted kind of disciplines and um, art forms, I guess. Well, obviously it's more than an art form, but it feels also a bit of an artistic form as well, of understanding deeper about ourselves through planets and alignments and everything and our date of birth. But I find it very interesting through her to understand what you're just saying, really, which is a big portal of awakening for people, of going deeper into the mystical realm. Which is beautiful, actually. And can I ask you, how long ago was that journey that got initiated through astrology for you? How many years ago was that? How old were you
Um, well,
roughly?
I was around 15, 16 when I
Wow,
started
very
like
young.
looking into that, and I'm 43 now. So yeah,
Wow.
been a little while.
It's,
And I haven't went into like any formal understanding of
yeah,
astrology. Like I've just been picking up and listening, and absorbing things along the way. And so I would not call myself an astrologer, but I still am very interested in it, and I still follow a lot, and I am just constantly listening, and keeping open with, okay, what's happening, what's going on, and how can I best use it with the information I have.
yeah,
And so it's still a part of me. But yeah, I just don't, it's funny because that's what started all of this,
yeah.
but I still haven't been drawn to like jump
Learn.
all the way into it and go into, more depth with learning about it. But I know that, yeah, like it's there and it's available and it's been
Yeah.
helpful.
I
Yeah.
think I feel exactly the same. And I think I'm very much aware there's some tools that are there for others to learn. They're not for me, but I will always enjoy learning from others. And I think that we can't, it's almost like we're soul contracted to either soul contracted or the desire is too strong for certain other things that are meant for us. And I know I felt that with energy reading 100% of the last, I guess, 7 years. So there's something to it, isn't it? That some things will open up the door, but there won't be those things themselves we end up getting kind of more closer to, So tell me
Exactly.
then from that, and that was obviously a very young age. I know you've become a mom. You you've kind of had quite the life after that. So, tell me more about it. What was it that got you then deeper into the whole realm of psychic awareness, psychic tools, psychic skills, reading energy? How did that come about for you?
Yeah, sure. So when I found out about Reiki, I wanted to learn more. And so I started going through all of the levels of Reiki. So I'm a Reiki master now. And um, during that time, even like what you said with the tools and, you know, like they're available, but and so as I was learning Reiki, I knew that that wasn't it. I knew that it was important. I knew that it was I was intrigued and I wanted to learn more. But when I was practicing on other people and doing sessions for people and um, just really feeling energy, I know that I knew that I knew that I needed to learn
Yes.
how to connect to energy in order to be able to read it and to see it in my mind's eye. And that's how I use my gifts now. Is I very much see the energy moving in certain ways, and I can then help to move and manipulate it and create new ways of moving it and shifting things in real time. And so Reiki really helped open up that door, because before I didn't do any energy work. I didn't even know that that was a thing
Yeah.
that people did energy work or you can balance energy. I didn't know much about chakras. And so, it was just,
Yeah.
it was a good starter for me to get in there. But once I was working on people doing Reiki, then my psychic and mediumship gifts just naturally opened up. And so I'm clairaudient. That's my strongest clair. Now I have a lot of them already open, but that was the first one that really came in, and it was the only one that was there for a while. And so I would just hear, I would feel, well, I guess sentience. I would feel the presences coming forward for people that I was working on, and then I would hear instruction on how to best, help them move their energy while I was doing Reiki on them. And that piqued my interest and I wanted to learn more about that. And so I found a mentor that was just more mediumship, because I was like, I knew that Reiki wasn't quite my thing. And then when my mediumship got stronger, then I wanted to learn more about mediumship, and that was more intriguing. And I feel like with my mediumship, like my mediumship opened up, and then yeah, I was also able to see energy moving as I was doing readings for people. Um and then it just naturally evolved into, well, I have all this business background that I really enjoyed learning as
Yeah.
well. And I wonder if I can merge it. I wonder if I can put this together somehow. And so I found a way to do that. And so I can read the energy of people's businesses. I can, look at timelines. I can look at what's going on in their personal lives and their, or in their business, and that relates to their personal lives. And, if there's energy that's stagnant or not moving the way that they want it to move, I can see okay, well, here's the channel you're trying to move it through, but it's stuck. So either this needs to be unblocked, kind of like what you would do with Reiki, or we need to go in a different route because that's not really aligned, and you're trying to move energy in a place that's not really aligned. And this is in more alignment. So let's move it here. And then, oh, there's a flow. Let's get that flow going. But I can see the energy moving as
Yeah.
I'm talking to them and as I'm getting my psychic impressions. I'm seeing things, I'm hearing things, and so it all just kind of comes together in this beautiful orchestra. And
Yeah.
so that's how I use it. And that's the part that I'm settled in right now, because it's just like, yes, like I love
Feels like a
being a
yes.
conductor of that.
I love that you shared all this because there's a few things I would love to unpack because I think there's some really beautiful learning things for people and indicators for people who are on a journey of trying to work things out on their own right now as to, where they're heading with their spirituality, with their gifts. I think there's some beautiful things you've mentioned. So first of all, I love that you talked about yet another portal, which was the energy work. I'm a strong believer, and I really say to a lot of when I teach energy reading, my 3-month mentorship, I say we do energy work there. And I say to people who have not learned a modality like Reiki, I used to do Reiki and magnified healing, say it is so helpful to do that when you're opening up to your psychic gifts. And even if you don't want to fully open your psychic gifts, learning to work with energy, getting an attunement energetically, it will make you so much more sensitized to the realm of energy in a way
Yes,
that life will become a lot more effortless. You realize how much, in life we lead life through our heads as opposed to through a more intuitive, more natural, softer way of living life. And I think energy work is a fantastic tool for that. And like you said, also specifically, also it links beautifully with just becoming a better energy reader. It comes a lot more naturally. So
yeah.
I love that you made that link and that connection there. I also love another thing you mentioned because I think people can overcomplicate it sometimes. So you were just saying how you've done all this, your skills, you started reading energy, you started seeing, hearing, feeling things. It was all kind of kicking in. And you saw that you like doing this, but then you also had that background in business, and you felt, oh, and I like that, I like doing that. So I love that how much you normalized with what you shared. Just this whole process of choosing what we do in life, we can overcomplicate it, but it's
Oh
most
yeah.
often the things we have done might end up, which might have felt, okay, maybe business on its own maybe wasn't 100% what you want to do or what you wanted to do. But
Mhm.
then when you activated the other gifts, right, your other spiritual gifts through energy work and through your psychic gifts, it's like together they worked beautifully. You could see them combined. Equally,
Exactly.
when I looked at becoming a business coach, more traditional business coach, I loved business and I love helping women in their business. But the traditional aspect alone without the spiritual was not making me money, and it wasn't for me. And it was because the psychic stuff really lit me up. So I love that it really is that simple as you said it. You did this, but you also loved doing that. And you thought, could I mix it together? And sometimes it can be just as simple as that.
Right, exactly. And that's something that I work with my one-on-one clients with as well. A lot of them are entrepreneurs, and they have multi passions, right? Like as an entrepreneur, you're usually also, very multi-passionate about different things. And we feel like because of the way society's been structured, you choose one thing, you do one thing, and you become known for one thing. And so I do walk my clients through that as well. They're already entrepreneurs, but they're opening up their spiritual gifts, and then they have the dilemma, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to go into the spiritual stuff, or am I going to stay and have my business? And I'm like, how about we put them together? And it can
Absolutely.
and it can also, like, this spiritual stuff, I believe, just it can get like it can actually be a connector for our lives. It
Yeah,
can weave in and around all the different areas so that it brings us more into harmony within ourselves of who we really are. And you can use your psychic gifts in relationships, you can use them with your children, you can use them going to the grocery store and cooking, you can use them in your business, you can use them with your friends, like, and manifesting different things. You can manifest health stuff, you can manifest, like practical things, energetic things. And so it's I feel like it's more of connecting us, to to really realize our wholeness and realize that it's okay if we have all these different interests and things. And that's part of our creator energy, is taking different pieces and then, well, what if I put it together? What is that going to do? Like that's nature in itself. It's,
it is.
everything is, I'm bringing one piece and one piece and I'm going to put it together to see what it creates. And that can definitely be us throughout our lives. So yeah.
And
That's,
I love that because also, if you think about it, we are here to integrate, we're here to become more whole. And so I remember back in the day, early days of like business in the sort of, I don't know, 2016, 17. And I remember seeing people in the online space, I've got one website for this and I've got another website for this kind of thing. But there was no that sense of integration. And I think that has changed. I think what you're sharing is really important. There is a way to merge. And actually, to be honest with you, would you say that more people are looking slightly more like out in this like off the wall kind of like services now, where
yes.
it's not just necessarily the traditional model, the traditional coach. Everybody's like that little bit of extra weirdness goes a long way.
Oh
It
yeah.
might be that you as a psychic has something that the other person's a psychic, as a reader, as a healer, brings a different sort of twig to it, right? That just, I think that really is all the juice. And it's the stuff that we've been scared to really fully own and integrate, the stuff that people want us more for anyway, in the first place.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. I believe you're spot on with that. Because yeah, like even with psychics, it's not just a one size fits all. Like you
Mhm.
go to a psychic and they're going to bring different things forward depending on their personality, their experience, their interests. It doesn't necessarily have to do with the person that they're reading for. We're all not going to get the same thing from the same person. If the
Yeah.
same person goes to me for a reading and goes to you for a reading, they're going to get two very different readings.
Yeah.
Because me and you have different interests and we have different backgrounds, and we're, opening up, and the filter, we are a filter, and it's coming through a
Through our
unique
self
person.
and our
Yes,
soul blueprint.
exactly, exactly. And so I don't know. I like it. I like the variety. I like the uniqueness and the weirdness. You could, I'm just waiting to see like, like come and get your card, fixed while you're at a, and come visit our vegan restaurant that's connected to it, or something like that. Or here's ice cream
Yeah.
parlor with the automobile, like we mix them, and it's just like, hey, why not,
Oh, totally. I had a lady in my course last summer. She was a PR person. She was doing PR for people. And she literally started doing readings on her clients during the course. And people, like, she wanted to volunteer, people were paying her for them. And
Uh-huh.
they loved the extra juice that it brought to her advice, because they do get to be a lot more spot on, I find, when you've developed your gift and you honed into it. I find that there's certain things that, as a psychic guide, I can take my client closer to the solution and the a lot quicker than if I was to come up with that advice as a coach through my mind's guidance alone and through my understanding. In a way, it's almost like, would you say the reading gets us a bit out of the way?
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely, because of the work that we, you need to learn that in order to receive guidance. You need to learn how to open yourself up to all possibilities, because we don't know what spirit's going to bring us to share with people, or even to ourselves, and so you have, as a psychic, that's part of the process, is open, like if you want to be a really, good psychic, I feel like. And
Yeah,
I feel like good just means specific,
yeah,
anybody can have their own psychic things, but the more specific, the more clear, the closer to, like what you said, the closer to the solution you want to be, you can hone your skills. And part of that is by practicing opening up, and knowing that, we're putting our ego aside. We don't have the answers. We're getting it from a higher power, a higher perspective. And and so, yeah, we don't have maybe some of the egoic attachments that maybe other coaches have too. Well, I want to get them to here because that's my process. I built this process, and so I'll get you from here to here.
exactly. Yeah.
And they don't, that's where they work.
And
And
it might
as a
not be that it
psychic,
gets them there either.
exactly, as a psychic, we go, okay, here's what I'm working with,
Yeah.
everything, all possibilities.
Yeah.
How can I get them closer to here, to this end goal that they're looking for? And so, yes, I believe that by us just opening up even further, instead of having, like, we could still have our own process for that, but it's integrating those two, making sure that we're being completely open to all possibilities. And because, yeah, even through a human filter, like, we still have those limitations of what we think it should look like. And
Yeah.
if we open up to spirit, then spirit's like, well, nobody thought about this, but here you go. And it's like, oh, well, I can get you closer, because now I just saw what I didn't know, and you didn't know. So now we're both learning.
Yeah. I love that you said that, actually, learning. I think, and I don't know what you think about this. I really truly believe that our business and our entrepreneurial journey, it's not just when we're on the peak of our expertise and we feel like we've given everything we've got, and we just keep on giving of that. I feel like it's okay for your journey to be still a process of exploration for you. You're still learning from your tool. I think, if anything, if you reach the peak of your experience or your expertise with a particular tool, that might be the time where you feel, okay, what's next now? And I feel one of the beautiful things, and I think I'm sharing this because I think sometimes people hesitate. They feel they have to be the best in or to have done something for too many years, to feel that they can do something of value and bring that tool out there. And I one of the things I love about being a psychic is I truly don't know when I connect with somebody what the information will be. And it
Yes.
might be, again, as a person, I have one idea what I would say. The coach in me would say this, but actually the energy will show me exactly what's going on. And I love the fact that it continues being a surprise. And let's think
Yes.
about it. Isn't that what partnership, true loving partnerships are about? The exciting partnership where you never feel you know someone.
Mhm. There's always
Like,
something more to learn. There's
there's
always
more to
something.
learn.
Yep.
There's a deeper aspect to it of going. There's like an inquisitiveness, there's a curiosity. And one of the things I'm trying to say to people is, like, please give yourself permission for your work to be that fun, and for you to not feel you're always at your edge of your always knowing it, always, because if anything, dealing with the psychic realm, you're learning constantly.
Hmm.
Like, by all means, you want to refine, you want to be a good psychic, you want to like feel comfortable about reading energy and interpreting it, but you will never fully know the realm because there's so much to learn.
Yes,
The whole path of
absolutely.
mysticism, right?
Yep.
So I love that you said that, a lot about the learning. Now, I'm very curious to know, because you are in a capacity of helping other people. Tell me, what are some of the common challenges that come up for your clients? And maybe it was a challenge you experienced yourself, but what are some of the primary challenges that your clients are experiencing when they are in the process of opening up the gifts? What are some of the challenges that come up for them?
Yeah. So I would say the very first one that's top of mind that's really prevalent is uh trusting themselves. Trusting and believing
I knew you'd
that.
say that as a first one.
Yep, yep. Trusting and believing that they are capable of receiving guidance from a higher perspective. And that can go in all kinds of directions of reasons why they don't trust themselves. A lot of people, especially with me living I live in the US and I live in Utah. Utah is very much known for Mormonism. The main religion here is Mormon, and so there's a lot of people that grew up, in Utah, that I work with, and so it's a constant, like it's a constant thing. Like we're surrounded by the religion, and you like even in school, like it's just, it's
Conditioning
taught,
around it.
it's everywhere, and a lot of people, um like a lot of my friends grew up as Mormons. I'm not a Mormon, but I had a lot of, mostly friends, and so you have to kind of know how to work with that culture of that religion, just to be a part of the environment, right? And so uh but there's a lot of people that, grew up with their parents making them go to church, because that was the thing to do, or they were part of the church, but they didn't really connect with
Mm.
beliefs. They didn't really connect with, they found religion too strict, too constricting. There was things that, a lot of things that were not aligned with them, but they couldn't really understand why. They thought it was because of them.
Yeah.
Something's wrong with me, because if you go to the bishop or something and try to tell them, then they're like, well, you just need to pray more, you just need to read the Book of Mormon more, you just need to, like there is something wrong with you.
Yeah,
and
absolutely,
so
absolutely.
and so when, so there's a lot of that, growing up, being chastised for not getting it right, for not doing things right. And so when I'm walking them through things, opening up their intuition, and they always want to know, am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? Like, I feel like I'm going to do it wrong. There's fear that they're going to mess it up, they're going to do it wrong, or it's going to go away if I don't follow all the rules. And I'm like, you got, like, let's release that, let's start moving through that, so that, we do have a lot of processing around releasing a lot of things. Or if they grew up in a house where, that like mysticism was demonized or looked down on, as weird, and anything to kind of separate them from their environment or their family, they're still having a hard time adjusting to that, even as adults. We want to connect, we want to, belong, and so we want to feel like we're safe to explore things. And if, especially with psychic and spiritual gifts still being fairly uncommon, like
Yeah.
it's getting more and more common, but it's just, okay, does this mean that I'm bad now? Does this mean I can have, negative things coming to me, and and so it's, or am I worthy of receiving this? I haven't, like you said, I haven't put in the time, I haven't put in all the certifications, the training, and so I don't think I can. And it's like, but I have people that come in completely open, and they're just like, let's do it, and boom, like within an hour we're connecting to past loved ones, and they're just going, going to town. And it doesn't have anything to do with, did they grow up that way? Were they born that way? Like they could have never connected to a past loved one before. And it's just about their mindset. And if they believe that, hey, sure, it's possible, I don't know why I shouldn't be able to. If someone else can, why can't I? Then they allow that to come through, and they allow that to happen. They trust themselves. But it's when they don't trust themselves, then we have to spend more time trying to get them to open up to trust themselves in order for them to
Yes.
feel like they really are connected. And sometimes, yeah, it takes months, sometimes it takes a little bit longer, and it's just, chipping away at those old beliefs, and to a point where you can allow yourself to say, is there a belief that, like, can I believe that I can do this? Can I, allow myself to believe that I can do this, and that it's safe for me, and that it's okay, and that I'm worthy and supported, and I can do it in my own way, and so I don't have to fear being wrong. Like, the way that I do it is going to be the right way.
Yeah.
And it's just holding space for all of that to come forward. So yeah, I would
I
say
love
the biggest is that.
I love that you've made the question justice in the way you answered it so deeply. And I love that, one of the things I've said to people who come to do the mentorship, the 3.5 month mentorship, I say to them is like psychic development is a deep self-development in itself. Doing any psychic development, it will be doing any psychic development will be deep self-development, because it gets to challenge so much of what you've known and what you've been shown, the conditioning and the mindset you've had so far, the limiting beliefs. But I also love that from what you're saying is that it absolutely gets, eventually people get it though. And I think that and I would say even more than just how long it takes, is more that the practice is really what makes the difference, isn't it? Because the more people do it,
Absolutely.
I don't see any people saying, "Oh, I don't get it." They always seem to get it. And then it gives them enough of, once people get enough of the evidence, I'm not making this up, this has just happened. People say,
Yep.
how did you know this about me? Or how did you? Then that gives, when they get to that place, everything changes, because they get enough, like almost evidence, right?
Mhm.
And I don't know about you, Naomi, but I'm a strong believer, like, by all means, check for evidence, even with the psychic realm. This is like, just because we have this, and I'm not a big fan of the debate, spirituality versus religion and all that, I don't feel the need. I think it's something we do as humans, the whole linear, you have to choose. And I say to people, why do I have to
Why?
choose?
Yep. Why?
What's
Why?
that? Like, or, like sometimes I feel like, if you had this, would you give your right arm for that? And I say, like, why would I need to give my right,
Yeah.
It's something I do sometimes to myself. And it's like, it's a human thing that we do, right? And it's like,
Absolutely.
but actually, you can absolutely get 100% evidence from the spirit realm. Who gave us that information that we can't? If anything, that's why we use it, because it has so much information for us. Like, so I would say to people to be discerning, whether they're tuning with a coach or a teacher or whatever, who's going to teach them that stuff. Uh, don't worry about being too doubtful or skeptical. It's a good thing to have. Bring that to the course, and don't be afraid to challenge your teachers and your guides and
Mhm.
your psychics, because if they're good and well rooted in what they do, they won't hesitate to show you the evidence,
Yep.
at least through the
Absolutely.
information that will come back to you. So I really love that you've shared that. So how do you feel your particular clients, tend to overcome those things, those particular issues and challenges? What
Well,
helps them overcome them?
yeah, just like what you said, the evidence. So, I was lucky enough to have a mentor that he's a teacher at Arthur Finley, actually, and so he teaches evidential mediumship, and so that's how I learned. I learned the and evidential mediumship, for people that might not know, is really just when you're connecting to past loved ones, and the spirit realm. It's about the reader, or the psychic, the medium, bringing forward evidence to support and show you, this is who I'm connecting to, and let me show you specific evidence of
Yeah,
why you should believe that I'm connected to them. Here's grandmother, she has a specific ring, this is what the ring looks like, or this is the shape of it, and this, she said she gave it to you during this time. Like,
yeah,
that's evidence to support
yeah.
that I'm connected to your grandmother. And so, I teach that way as well. And so I start my students out, my clients out with um practicing on me, practicing on if I'm helping them open their mediumship, then I'm having them practice on people that I have had pass away so that I can validate, if they're receiving some information and they're saying, okay, I think I have your grandmother here. And I'm like, okay, what is she showing you? Ask her to show you something about herself, gain some evidence, get something, but I don't tell them, look for her flowers, look for her this, it's like
Yeah.
I'm letting them get curious. I'm like, get curious, open up, just allow it, whatever you don't know this woman, you have no idea. So keep that openness and curiosity and just allow things to come in. And when they get something, I'll validate it, right away. And I'll say, that makes sense. Okay, get some, keep going. You're doing great. Or okay, take that, try again, keep going. I don't ever say, no, that's wrong. Like it's just like
Of
if it
course, it's a
doesn't make
learning
sense,
environment,
like
right?
it's like, okay, you got that, acknowledge that you got that, first of all, like don't second guess yourself in the middle of it, just keep going and see what else they want to come forward. And so, but once they start to get a handle on more of that validation that yes, I got that, and yes, it resonates with Naomi, like they get more confidence and then things start flowing better and start flowing more. And so whenever they lose confidence, I just remind them, like, you can do this, you have done it before, I've
Yeah.
seen you, I've seen you. And
Yeah.
so sometimes it's just a reminder while you're going through the process. You might have good days, you might have not so good days where you don't feel so connected, or and so there's a lot of guessing, which is totally fine. Like
Part of the process, I
every
guess.
psychic has
Learning.
that, we all have bad days.
Yeah.
And where we don't connect all the way. And so yeah, it's just creating that space for them to practice, to fall, to get back up, practice, fall, get back up. Like that's really the process that you're walking them, like that
Thank
I'm walking
you.
them through, is
Yeah.
okay, you fell, get back up, you're fine, you're doing good, keep going. Like, oh, you got a bump knee, keep going, you can still walk, you're still good, have fun, play, keep playing. This is a sandbox, sometimes you fall, sometimes you eat some sand, sometimes you get back up and keep playing. And so just encouraging them and supporting those small wins, like over time, just helps build that. And so and then reminding them, hey, you've done these things. It's not pointing out what you didn't get, it's pointing out what you did get. So
And I love that you're normalizing that actually as part of the learning process, people will make mistakes. And it'd be
yes,
weird, it'd be a shame to not try because you don't want to make the mistakes, because how are you going to try otherwise? But that's an important part of the process, and that eventually you do hone into it. It really is about, I mean, I see it as the stages of tuning into the energy and then interpreting the energy. So, and sometimes most of the mistakes happening in the interpretation to start with, but it is a matter of practice. And I love how you hold that space so confidently from what you're sharing to let people like navigate through this and understand that that's part of it. And it's part of it in whatever else you're doing, right? It would be an element of like, you never get it fully right. Running a business, building a business and getting out there, there'll be a bunch of mistakes, you know. So if we
yes.
can give ourselves permission to go there, to make those mistakes and learn, to allow the learning environment to be a learning environment, then
Mhm.
it becomes a lot easier. But I love that you talked about
Absolutely.
the evidential aspect of, I guess this is for mediumship, but even if it's no mediumship, you know, it's like the evidential aspect is very important. It's always how I kind of continue with the reading. I first tune in and make sure, okay, you're talking to me about the dog. Let me tune into the dog. Is this the dog? Is this the personality? Da 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 da.
Hmm.
Yeah. I would say color, but the color is not always evident because sometimes the color is symbolic.
Yes.
But but like as you know, but and then when they say yes, then it's okay. We tuned into the right dog because
Yeah.
maybe there's another dog, or maybe there was another dog lurking around from a past life. Who knows? So, but that can be on anything, and that is the way in. And then once you establish that, it's a lot easier for people to say, oh yeah, that's the one. Right. Okay. Now then let's do the reading on this dog or person or business or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
So I would suggest too that if people are not getting a mentor, just finding evidence, it's through practicing with other people that you know, and just telling them, hey, I feel like this is opening up for me. Is it okay if I practice on you? So if you're opening up your psychic skills, and you're starting to tune into feelings, or you're starting to get visions of things, then okay, let me, I'm just get on a phone with somebody that that's open to practicing with you, and just saying, okay, don't tell me anything. I want to feel into what you had for dinner last night. And so let me just connect to your energy, and you just tell me yes or no, and or tell me, don't, like, I'm gonna just play around with it. Now I'm gonna figure out what you're wearing today. Now I'm gonna figure out what you have planned for this weekend, like, just kind of, or what was your mood on Monday? Let me feel into that. So think about what your mood was. Remember, do you remember what your mood was? Okay, cool. Like, now let me practice. I want to practice feeling into that energy. Or if they have someone that's passed away, then, and you're starting to open up your mediumship, then, okay, is it okay for me to practice? Can I call forth, are you open for me to calling forth somebody that you were connected to that has passed, so that I can practice my mediumship, and let me see what I'm getting. Let me call them forward. Let me see what they're saying. Let me connect with their energy, and you just tell me yes or no. Don't give me any other explanations, or you can, but, like, just, that's literally how you get that validation, how you start establishing that confidence. And so you can do it with friends, relatives, a mentor. It's really nice to have somebody to bounce that off of,
I
just,
agree.
so that you
Really
can
hone it in.
gain that confidence. And I believe it's just because that's how our school systems have been set up. That's how we've learned to learn right now in this, as we grew up in a system where we learn something, you take a test, and then you tell me if it's right or wrong, like, give me validation so I know I can move forward, or I know I need to go back and relearn something, and that's
Mhm.
exactly why I feel like it's important, as
Yeah,
mentors, to have some type of um process where, your clients, your students can validate their progress. And so, but you can do that with friend, family, somebody, but just validating, okay, how many things did I get right? How many things did they say, oh,
yeah.
I don't know what that is? And that's okay. Like, let me try again later and see if I get a better kind of score on my test. It's just playing around and learning in that way. So yeah.
And I would also, I love that, absolutely. And I think it's also utilizing a three-dimensional kind of like
Exactly.
systemic beingness, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's something, I like to see the 3D, the way we do in 3D things is kind of like a bit like vintage humanity. It's a little bit like synthetic, a little bit sort of
Oh
like,
yeah.
okay, fabric might not be the best, right? Sometimes it's a bit too loud and weird, but it has a charm to it, we have a charm. And I say that because we can be sometimes a little bit too like, oh, 5D and da da da. And actually, this is
Mhm.
where we live. This is a playground. So
Yeah.
we might as well enjoy it, otherwise it's going to be a
Use it.
drag.
Yep.
But I
Yeah.
also would say with what you said, yes, it is the way we learn, but don't be surprised the more you learn to read energy and trust in your psychic skills to, in a way, then use that as your guidance system. You read
Oh
the
yeah.
things and you ask questions, and that gives you feedback. Because everything, energy is in everything. It's in our furniture, it's in our homes, it's in every single inanimate object as well. So you can, that's one of the things I love about it. It's like it becomes a lot more, the fabric of connectivity is a lot more intimate. You become a lot more intimate with everything around you. So in a way, yes, we learn from each other, but you can also learn a lot from energy when you start to get very comfortable with the skill of reading and interpreting energy. And
Oh
that can
yeah.
be a lot of fun, right?
Yeah,
Now,
absolutely.
let me ask you a question, Naomi. How would you explain the difference between, for those who might be interested to know, like your kind of common level intuition to psychic intuition, for those who might not have thought about it much? Do you feel psychic intuition is an upgrade to basic level intuition? Do you feel it adds value, or anything you want to say about that, if you were to sort of like describe it for people from your experience? What's the difference between the two?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would feel like the difference is like basic intuition, you're not purposefully or mindfully thinking about opening up to it. It's just something that happens when it happens. And I feel like psychic intuition is more intentional. I feel like you learn to practice opening, practice closing, practice focusing it in certain places and certain directions for certain information, and so it's just more specialized, I feel like. And I feel like, as like with psychic intuition, you tend to have more control over it, a lot more control over it, because you're being intentional with it. And so that's what I would describe would be like the difference. Yeah.
Yeah. I 100% agree. The intentionality is everything. You become very intentional in your questions. You become very intentional who you're reading on.
Mhm.
And it's a more refined version of intuition, I think.
Absolutely.
I
Yep.
love that. Um, for those who are sort of hesitating, okay, here's the thing. Okay, let me put it like this. So one of the challenges I'm kind of um, seeing with people around the whole thing about the realm of psychic intuition is that, a physical experience is just so vivid, right? It's just so immediate, and it's like we don't doubt it. You so obviously see the person with the, obviously if your physical vision is okay, and mine at the moment is not great. You see a person wearing the yellow t-shirt. You see the sun going up and down, or whatever, the white car going past, whatever. Um, and this is not even a question. It's something that I'm exploring right now. I'd love to get your input
Sure.
on, right? Because I'm constantly thinking, I'm so in love with this practice, and I'm so in love with teaching it. I'm so into this. It has become a purpose, like for you. And I want to eliminate as much as possible the barriers for people. And I noticed that one of the biggest barriers is very much this thing that the change of gears that it takes. It's the stuff you talked about, right? About the trust, about getting used to what they're seeing is what they're seeing and all that. And on the bottom line of that being the fact that we're so used to the external realm being so vivid and physically kind of there, we can't doubt it. And in a way, the change of gears to shutting that off to connect with the inner realm is a massive shift and change of gears, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yep.
And just thinking, okay, there's maybe where the question is formulating a bit. How do we make it easy for people who say, okay, might not be ready to kind of quite go into addressing the whole thing of, right, okay, I want to get into to understand the value that it can offer people. But if the change of gears is so big and it's asking people to like drop everything that the physical life is showing them at this moment to really focus on the internal images or whatever, however you teach it, how do we encourage people maybe with kind of other intermediate steps,
Mhm.
right? That might not be going straight full on into psychic intuition, but kind of what could be some of the warming up preparation ground for people?
Yeah. Well,
And
first
how
of
do we
all,
encourage that? How do we encourage them to engage with that?
yeah, I love that. So first of all, um, one thing that I found is like for me anyway, in my practice, is I've come to this I guess place within myself of I'm not here to um convince
Of course.
anybody. And so if there's like I feel like number one, is there has to be this intrinsic motivation to seek something different.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing. I feel like, it's just about the intention of the person. The person is going through their day-to-day life, and if you're feeling that there needs to be something different, or that there's a different way to look at this, there's something different that I'm not seeing, that I'm not experiencing, but I feel like it's right there. What is it? I feel like that is something that's like number one for um being able to open yourself up to this work more. There has to be this desire, I feel like, to seek out new information. And
Mm-hmm.
but once somebody has that desire and they're like, okay, I get it. There's something I can't put my finger on. I don't know what it is. And that was me. It was like I feel like I'm not seeing there's something else that I'm not seeing. And and so it led me on this seeking. Um I start with I would start with um just little tweaks in their everyday life. Again, I'm very much about bringing the mystical into the practical, because like you said, this is where we're at. This is what experience we've decided to have, is a human experience on the 3D level. And we're moving, yes, and we're shifting, but we're not quite there yet. Um and so we are in the practical still, but it can mix, it can intertwine. You can see a yellow shirt now with a new set of eyes, and it's energy, it's moving, it's vibrant. You can feel the yellow, like you can feel the person behind the shirt, like once you get to that level. So anyway, I would start, but instead of trying to get person to that level right away, I would start with just very practical things. And so starting, I like to start people out with, okay, what's something that's currently going on right now in your life that you would like to see a shift in, like in a very
I
practical
like
way.
that.
And so is it your relationship with your husband? Is it relationship with one of your kids? Is it a relationship with a coworker? It's usually a
I love that.
relationship. Or have you just been feeling depressed lately? Is it a relationship with yourself that you desire a shift in? So that means that if you desire a shift in something, that means you're seeking something new. I want something to change. And so I have that intrinsic desire to try things out in order to change this, because I actually care about this. If we go straight to, well, here's how you can see the world, and you can see it in energy, and they don't really care like, they're worried about their 3D stuff. Like, I'm too busy with my kids. I'm too busy fighting with my husband. I'm too busy, like, then it's like, let's start there. Let's start with the practical. And so starting to help them shift the energy within their relationships, within themselves, or within a problem they have, in a practical problem. Um, and okay, here's how I feel like you're looking at it. Why don't you tweak it just a little bit and see what happens? Why don't you, envision having a conversation with your husband and having it go the way you want it rather than the way you think it's going to go? Like, just jump into that first, try it out, let me know how it goes, and then, we'll move forward. What the heck? Like, it's one little tweak, and I want you to see how magical that can be if you really put that energy. So I walk them through, let's envision it. How do you really want it to go? And I, have them really connect with themselves, tap in, and well, this is what I really want. And okay, how do you want to feel during this? How do you want him to feel? And, do you feel like that can be true for him, that he wants that too, deep down? Does he want to stay connected to you? Do you want to stay connected to him? And you guys really want to work things out together. Like, deep down, do you feel like that's true? Yes. Okay, then this is possible. So this can happen. This can go this way, right? Like, there's a core belief that you both want this. So try it out now, like, stand on that foundation, give us a little shift, get into some positive energy, put that into place, and then have this conversation the way that you can have it. And then, yeah, it almost always works.
So what you're
It,
saying is that you don't care so much about the fact, like, yeah, so you let the actual issue be the driving force,
yes.
as opposed to, I guess I'm thinking, but why would they go to a psychic coach as opposed to a counselor or another traditional coach?
Mhm.
That's, I guess, what my thing is. Like, and I was asking more the question from the point of view, not seeking the advice, but developing the skill themselves,
Oh,
right?
developing the skill.
So I was
Okay.
thinking
Yeah.
particularly around that, where it becomes the bridge, because we have all the support available, right? Obviously, it costs money to go keep on going to people. I've been using a lot less support since I've kind of activated my own gifts. But
Yeah.
from the point of view, I'm curious of the being taught.
Right.
Because often it's this thing that it is quite change of gears, right? From like when we learn counseling skills, I've got the background, I've done a coaching thing. It's so very external. Knowledge is passed on to us. This is an entirely different territory, and it's unlike anything we've learned.
Okay. I
Because
understand.
even the
And so,
teacher can't tell you, they're just holding space for you to receive the information.
yeah, yeah. Well, I actually still use a practical I guess issue
Yeah, of
and
course.
walk them through that. And so um let's practice, whoops. Let's practice coming within. This is how you come to your center. This is how you get out of your, this is, how you move things out of your mind into your heart space. Here's how you open up your
Right.
heart space. Let's connect to source. Let's open up for guidance. And then let's feel into what you really desire or how you really want to go. Or are there any fears coming up that you need to be aware of?
Yeah.
And let's look at that and let's see where that stems from, and so I'm helping them walk through their own, connecting to themselves psychically and, transmuting energy. Okay, that's the fear. That's where it's coming from. Okay, how
Right.
do you want to, what does it want to shift into? It's a lower frequency. How does it want to become higher? And so we're looking at the energy, we're following it, we're transmuting it, and
Beautiful.
then also
Yeah.
kind of tap into your partner and take a look at his energy, and so that again you can connect to this and you, just by shifting your energy now, don't do anything different. Don't have a conversation. Go tomorrow and see what happens. See how that actually changes because we shifted something within yourself. And so learning how to do it from yourself, then you can start to walk other people through that same thing for themselves too. Or you can, as we're walking through our day, and we're engaging with people, we can kind of tap into that and be like, oh, this is a fear that I feel like is coming up for them, and this is how it wants to shift. It's because we practiced on ourselves over and over and over
So
again.
the element of the tuning in, a basic level of tuning in that I think is important, isn't it? Because so
Yes.
many people maybe are doing it for the first time. So if they haven't had any background in kind of like switching off from the external to go within and to tune in, that's a place to start. It's a
Right.
great place to start, either through a meditation practice or just being led by somebody in that very simple way, and then kind of starting from there. I think it's a really important thing to share actually with people, to say that there is a change of gears and that tuning in needs to take place. And then there's a transmutation that you're talking about. There's the element of truth, identifying the thing. And because it's hard if we don't identify it, how are we going to even read energy correctly? We're not
Exactly.
able to face something. So there's the mindset stuff. You talked about sort of conditioned experiences, our views around things that have come up. So it really is quite an interesting process in itself, isn't it? It's a pretty deep and holistic in many ways. Um,
Yes, absolutely. And it introduced, I guess simply, it just introduces them to their own energy. It introduces them to,
yes.
oh, that's energy. I feel that. I feel that. Oh, okay. And now, oh, that's emotion. Oh, there's a fear. And what other emotions are in that energy? And what other emotions are in that energy? And, so it's just getting them connected to energy and in its simplest form, and like in a practical way that, again, that they can replicate and they can practice on their own. I don't have to constantly be doing that, but I always make sure they come within, and that's how they start anything. And so yeah, I guess the foundation.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
here's energy. Here's what it is.
There's a
Here's your
foundation
energy.
there.
Yep.
I love it.
Let's start building a foundation. This is step one.
Yeah,
Feel your own energy. If
I
we're
absolutely
gonna
love that.
connect to any other psychic skills, you gotta understand what energy is. So
Yeah, yeah.
let's feel your energy right now.
Starts from home.
What it feels like. Yep.
And that's really beautiful. I love that. I love that so much. I 100%. I think that building of that, kind of setting the foundation and connecting in that simple way, that in itself is such a gift for people. I know that when they start to get into it, even if that's going to give information that they can be uncomfortable, but they
Yeah.
say, "Oh my gosh, at least now I have the solution because I'm allowing myself to feel it and see it for what it is." I really love that. And, I think you're a very gifted reader, Naomi. I've really enjoyed our exchanges. I think that the very, you go quite deep and you're kind of very nuanced in your readings, so I've really enjoyed that aspect very much sharing with you.
Thank you. I love yours too, by the way. I've had readings by Samaya before too, and she's amazing. So
And I feel like it's interesting because I think that you have also, there's a very strong mystical aspect. I think you do go very deep into the energy. You had a shamanic element that was very interesting. I think you had a very kind of, there was like a lot of Mother Earth energy coming through. I remember in a sharing we had, and it's really, and as I'm sharing this, I'm thinking like it's very interesting because through practice and through the more we do it, it's like it becomes so much bigger. And something about with gifts, like you said, you started with, you could hear, but then everything else activated. And I felt the same. Like I see very well, like really, really like strongly. And it's like, but everything, it started with claircognizance, really feeling it, and then the sentence, as soon as you hone into one, all the other ones will blossom as well.
yes, yes.
And it just gets bigger and better the more people sort of practice. I want to sort of finish off with a couple of last questions.
Sure.
One of them, I guess, would be about, I don't know. I feel right now the world is in one of the darkest places I've in my 46 years of time here in this lifetime. It feels like in a very, I don't know, at least in my country, there's a lot in England is a lot going on right now. I mean, yours too, I would say, US. But I guess a kind of, not so much like a hopeless message of hope or a useless, a generic, but I would love to hear your perspective on how you feel the gift of psychic intuition and that deeper connection with energy. And I know it's a bit of a big question, but hey, so how do you feel could be of real assistance to a planet at this time and age where so much is going on, so much false structure is falling apart, so much old ways of doing things? I'd love to hear your sense. It could be even like I don't know even if it's a psychic message or whatever it is, but like, how do you feel this can be of assistance to our planet at this time and age?
So, oh my gosh, like this, and when I connect to things, I go like I go, okay, what's in it for me? What's in it for my community? What's in it for the earth? What's in it for the cosmos? Like I want to know all of it, like high level. And so I'm gonna start at a high level, and also bring in some astrology. So we the planet Pluto is kind of it's the planet that kind of sets the stage for the change that we're going to be experiencing in any given part, like as a collective. And so so Pluto is literally since 2020, it was moving out of Capricorn. Capricorn is the sign of big business. It's the sign of structure. It's the sign of government, and top-down hierarchies. It's known to be very rigid. You do this and you do this and you do this. These are the steps, and it's right or wrong. Like there's no in the middle, and it's because somebody at the top made those steps and you have to follow them. And so we're moving out of that type of energy as a collective, and so that's why we've had all these things happen. That's what's causing, I feel like, all of this, these structures that are not aligned with what is coming next, which is Pluto's moving into Aquarius.
Aquarius, yeah.
Aquarius is about community. It's about power to the people. It's about our individual gifts being used for the collective. And so it's about being our authentic selves, being unique, being different, coming up with new ideas, new ways of doing things that are out of the box, that are against the norm. Pluto's going to be in Aquarius for the next 20 years. So this is going to be a theme that we're going to be moving into for 20 years.
I love that.
After Pluto leaves Aquarius, it's moving into Pisces. Pisces is the sign of the spiritual.
I love Pisces.
It's about our spiritual. It's about our spiritual home, and every single person has Pisces in their birth chart. And so, we all have a place that we connect to our spirituality, and Pisces and Pluto will be in Pisces for the next 20 years after that. So for the next 40 years, we have a big collective energy, a big shift of moving from hierarchical, top-down structure, rigid structure. Capricorn was very much, you have a job and it sustains you throughout your life, and that's what we grew up with. Well, you get a job, you stay at that job, you have a home, you stay at that home, you do everything, and it's for the rest of your life. It sustains you. And now we're all shifting, and it's
it's not like that anymore.
Yeah, because we're in Aquarius, also because we're having this soul awakening that, wow, I don't have to be in a box. Why
we're not gonna gaslight our desires anymore, right?
Exactly. I don't have to just give all my power away to a top person or a top organization that thinks they know better than me. I'm going to do things the way I want to do them, that fit my life and my unique abilities and desires and talents. And I can be my unique self and be a part of the collective. I can be a part of the community, and we're going to share with each other all of our gifts, and nobody is better than anybody else. Nobody is more qualified than anybody else, because we all bring unique things that are very important to the collective. And so I feel like that's the shift that we're making. And so as far as our intuition, like, it's important for us to come within. It's important for us to realize what unique things we have maybe suppressed throughout these past several years, that want to come out, that want to be set free. Aquarius is also about setting you free. It's about total freedom for ourselves. And so it's so that we can be unique, we can be our authentic selves. And so being connected to that intuitive aspect of ourselves is going to lead us into what is authentic. A lot of us don't know. Like, you ask people, what do you want? And that's like the hardest question to answer, because we don't know. We've never connected enough to go within. Yeah. And so our intuition is going to be the driver that's going to show us what we really desire. It's going to show us who we uniquely are and how we uniquely want to express that, so that we can uniquely share that with our communities, the people that we connect with. And it's going to show us that we can have this freedom and we can be safe and sustained, being so free and being so open, because we were used to a structure that was very rigid, and this was safety before, but now it's everyone's doing their own thing. Everyone's being multifaceted and multidimensional, and wanting to try out, like, Aquarius is the mind. It's about ideas
Progressive
and
and
progressive, yep, out of the box. And it's like, oh wow, let me try this and let me try that. What if I want to do it this way? And yeah, like, let me put a barber shop in a grocery store together or something, like, just let's get weird, because Aquarius is about the weird and the different, and but it's opening us up to that. And because we've had so much conditioning, our intuition is going to help us shift a lot of shift a lot of fears, shift a lot of doubts within ourselves, that we can actually do this, that we can actually be this, that it can actually work. And so again, I just and us connecting to our intentions, but also the intentions of others, kind of psychically feeling other people's intentions, is also going to help us get more connected to each other. We're not just going to judge people by their title and their accolades and, everything on paper anymore, like we used to.
mm,
We can have the best people be, like, just be totally unique and look totally different than what safe might look like before. you know
love
and
that.
and we can
Yeah.
feel into their intentions. We can feel into, we can trust our intuition to say, hey, what are their intentions? Does it feel good to me? Should I connect with this person? Should I collaborate with these people? Should I take this job? What does it feel like? Because everything's shifting and everything's changing. And so having that connection to our intuition is going to be our driver, because everything's not going to look plain and simple on paper and structured. It's going to look more chaotic at first because we're trying this new thing, but in the next 10 years or so, it's going to be the normal,
And
and moving forward.
100%. I love how you described all of this, Bros. I love you brought also the perspective of Pluto in Aquarius now. That's really very, very helpful as well. But it makes so much sense. And actually, exactly at this transition and during a time where we're moving into the personal and trusting into that is where it makes so much more sense why the sort of element of psychic intuition and deepening a connection to that realm of the inner realm is
Mhm.
so much more important during this time, because actually it's almost like putting that oil in the rusty kind of, like, in a
Yes,
bicycle, the thing, it will get it going again. It's like it brings that oil
exactly.
back and starts moving, because you're not just relying on the external structures now. You start trusting the deeper inner process more, and your inner sort of realm. And because you're able to see it for what it is now, and you're able to understand the process from seeing it, feeling it, hearing it more psychically too. I really love how you described it. And I think this is such an important, in a way, time of transition and a
Oh,
reminder of
yeah.
how we can make this work for us more, and
Mhm.
we can actually choose to fully identify with the distraction aspect, or the process of rebirthing. We can
Exactly.
we can be a little bit somewhere caught in the middle too, but kind of, it takes a little bit of that skill, right? Of like, okay, we're letting some of the things go whilst we're birthing. It's a bit of a messy one, but it's
Oh,
important.
yeah,
But also choosing to keep on leaning to the new, of this big
exactly.
transformation. And I mean, I love Pluto. It's the planet of the underworld. I think I do a lot of underworld sort of exploration a lot of the time. So it feels such a potent, it's going to be like a big one
Oh,
when
yeah,
it's involved,
absolutely.
or
Well, and
Saturn.
that's why it looks so chaotic right now, because Pluto is, when it
Makes so much
shifts into a
sense.
new sign, it's like we are changing. And Pluto's also known, to a lot of astrologers as the great destructor, because it just it's done. It's done with this. It's moving on to something else, and it will topple it down, to get us to change. Like, Pluto is about big change and transformation.
Oh, yeah.
And so it doesn't play. It's not here to gently nudge. It's here to come in and bulldoze things out that don't belong here anymore, that don't, pertain to our highest good and the evolution of our highest good. It's saying, okay, we've given you enough time and this has to go. Like, and I'm just gonna start chucking things out the window, and I'm gonna start, just
Yeah.
putting things in the trash. Like, we don't need it anymore. And so, yeah, it can be jarring for us if we're in, that
Too attached
mentality
to
that, yeah, if we're attached to a lot of this
it has
stuff,
to
that,
work like that. Yeah.
yeah, this is the way it has to be. And so what I've been really guiding my clients towards during all of this, when it does feel like chaos, first, yes, definitely come within, feel into your heart. Like, we are also moving from a place of like head to heart, as a collective. We've been conditioned to think first, feel later, and now we're shifting that as well into feel first and then let our brains help us
Yeah.
figure out how to do it.
Mm.
And so it's heart to mind rather than mind to heart. And so um the biggest thing is just connecting to your heart, feeling into what feels right. And if you don't know what feels right, go towards joy. Like, go towards love, go towards joy. If
Yeah.
you're moving towards fear, if you're moving towards, any of these lower vibrational emotions, um, that's that's probably not your heart. That's your head. And so moving into what sounds fun, what brings me joy right now, even though everything may be chaotic, choose joy, choose love, make your choices from those places, and you're going to get through this a lot better. That's how you lean into, we're rebirthing something,
I
we're
love
bringing
that.
something new in. I'm choosing more joy, I'm choosing more love. If I'm in fear, then I'm sitting in the destruction of it all. I'm watching everything fall, and that's why I'm so fearful and afraid. But that's the old, and we're moving into the new. And so, and yeah, like you said, we can kind of sway back and forth, and that's fine. But it's just when you
Notice.
like, it's just being mindful about that. Oh, I'm in a lot of fear right now, I'm in a lot of anxiety right now. I'm choosing to see things in destruction and fear. How can I choose to see things in love? How can I choose to
Yeah.
see things in joy?
I love that. One thing I would add though as well is that which I feel the spiritual community doesn't highlight enough the importance of grieving. And that's maybe the
Mhm.
counseling background I have. I really feel that we cannot bypass certain things, and it might be that one of the reasons why we are leaning too much in the destruction element is because we just haven't grieved enough. We haven't given ourselves enough of the time, space, energy to go deep into the eye of the storm of how that really is affecting us. So we don't want to bypass that. And I want to see the spiritual community being a little bit more integral on the sort of spiritual element is important, not
Oh
just
yeah.
but the psycho element. That's my 14 years experience of vulnerable people with complex needs working background, because that's going to make it a lot more uh, fruitful to then lean into the high vibration and into grounding ourselves in the new realities we're stepping into. Otherwise, you just end up being a very like one-dimensional being, kind of floating about, not fully being able to anchor. It's kind of like this thing like composting, right? Composting, energetic composting, and something about being able to get the nutrients of it's like what do they put on the grass to grow, to have a fertile garden? They need fertilizer,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So it's the grief and the processing of the whatever, the letting go and all that stuff gets composted
I
back
love that.
into
I love
what
that
we're bringing.
analogy. Yep.
I believe in it, and I'm using that analogy a lot because I think it scares people hearing the psychological. It feels that it's a little bit too old school, but it's again remembering we are human beings who, however much we grow and evolving, I see a lot of people bypassing, and and I'm not into that. I don't think it's healthy. And it ends up actually, they end up crashing down to the very things that they gaslighted themselves from or bypassed, right? And this, it can only kind of delay the process, make it more messy. And it's not healthy for anyone involved. You know, spend the time you need to grieve, but also know when it's time to just let it go and turn that leaf, or if not, that's not the, you know, the expression, just lean into the new,
Yeah.
uh, invest there, grow there, and do it in the way that is meant to for you. So
Absolutely. I love that you brought that up because yes, that is a big part of it. And I feel like if it's not integrated, then yeah, we have a really hard time adjusting to the new as well. And so, being able to
yeah.
grieve during the process and, even after we fully move into, a new way of doing things, everybody's gonna still have their shock waves of grief, and that's
Oh my
okay.
God, yeah, 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 yeah.
So
I mean, it's actually, to be honest with you, if anything, the thing that makes me appreciate the human realm, the us humans being living on planet Earth, is my capacity to grieve helps me appreciate everything more. It
Mhm.
gives that depth that we're here to experience, you know, and also it gets you to appreciate art, poetry, music in a different way. If we keep on, and a lot of it is highly like unhappy. A lot of the art we love, it's no play, but it's like it's that purging, isn't it? So it's kind of like, so because we are multidimensional beings and we need to be able to honor that sort of dimension of ours that does include pain. Now it doesn't have to lead to full-on suffering. We have a choice to the suffering, but the pain does kind of come into the picture of being a human, and we can't gaslight ourselves away from it, you know, as we're elevating and moving into. If anything, we use it wisely as a fertilizer, and then just make the grass a lot more potent, more fertile for whatever it is seeds we plant for our future, as on a personal level and the collective too. Um, so I feel that it was such a deep way to kind of end this, and felt I really loved being reminded about the Pluto in Aquarius. Actually, it makes a lot of sense, you bringing that perspective. On a much lighter note, Naomi, share with us one thing that you like to, a ritual or something that's valuable to you, either for your own personal success, for your own growth, development, for your joy. What's that one something you like doing, being, experiencing, that just brings that uh, energy to you, that really activates you, that you really enjoy, like a little
yeah,
hack or something that you enjoy doing?
I love that. I actually really enjoy meditation, and it's because I'm such a naturally curious person, and so
Mm.
when I go into meditation, I believe that I connect to everything, and I have all the information available to me for any single thing that I want to look at, any single thing that I have questions on or I'm curious about. And so sometimes I'll go into meditation to just ground myself, to, clear my own energy. But even while I'm clearing it, every time I'm like curious, oh, what is that over there? That's new. Or is there anything new and different that I don't already know? And so I'm
Mm.
constantly asking spirit for bring something new that I don't already know in my meditations, and then I journey and I follow whatever it wants to show me, and then I get more information and I'm like, that's
Beautiful.
cool. And
Love
so
that.
yeah, that's why I love to meditate. Mostly it's just learning more about myself, learning more about myself as a soul, myself as a human, myself as, you know, um part of source, and it's just like the expansion of it all,
Lovely.
let me see if I can do this. And so yeah, I'm a kid in a sandbox when I'm in meditation. I'm just like, what do I want to do here? Like,
Love that so
let me
much.
see if I can
Seriously.
connect to, let me see if I can connect to somebody famous or somebody that was important, and let me feel and oh, there they are. Okay, what do they want to share with me? Or what can I, what do I want to ask them? And, I'm just playing in meditation
A lot
and
of fun. I
I love
love
it.
that.
Yeah.
That's great. A great way to explore that curiosity through meditation, actually. It's great.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. It's been a real pleasure to have this exchange. Please let us know, Naomi, how people can work with you. I'm going to have all your socials under this video in the description box on YouTube. So for those of you connecting this video through social media, go click on the video and get into the YouTube. Feel free to follow and subscribe if you want to, like the video, but also you'll see all the socials for both myself and Naomi. But let us know a little bit more. How can people connect with you?
Perfect. Well, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. I'm I have my podcast called the Modern
Yes.
Psychic Podcast, and so you can go there. And then
Great.
yeah, I can put a link to I offer readings. I call them expansion readings,
Beautiful.
and also offer mentorship if you're wanting to, learn more about your own gifts and connect to those. I can help. So yeah, I can leave a booking link there as well. So yep.
Great. Please do. Please do. Would love to have that. So it's been a real pleasure. I knew it was going to be a very expansive and multidimensional, in-depth conversation, and it didn't disappoint.
Absolutely.
Really appreciated that. It's been a real pleasure to have you, Naomi, and thank you so much for being with me today and having a chat.
Thank you. This was amazing. As always, I love connecting with you, Samaya. Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you again next time. All the best.